Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel. I'm your host, Dave Shumate, lead college basketball analyst. We're here reacting to all of yesterday's action. Again, y'all are probably like, why is Dave going live on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday? He doesn't look like he's in his studio. Oh, you to check. You're right on all aspects. Guys, I'm at a wedding down in St. Simon's, staying again till tomorrow. I was at a wedding of one of my buddies who worked in college football. Congratulations to Tyler and Sarah Olkers. Wanted to reach that out, probably not even watching, but still phenomenal wedding, phenomenal people across the board. But that is why we are reacting this morning. But I'm glad y'all are all 100 of you right now who just joined us within 2 minutes of hopping on. So I appreciate you guys joining us. We're going to break it down. Obviously, we had a big one. Let's get right to it. But first of all, this reaction, this SEC basketball reaction from the SEC Unfiltered channel is brought to you by our new title sponsor. We're proud to have them, FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet, guys. There's nowhere else better to go. Again, guys, we're going to be going to the SEC tournament. On behalf of our buddies over at FanDuel, we're going to be going to Vegas for the first round of the NCAA tournament. I may be spoiling things we shouldn't even be talking about, but that is the case. So that's why we are fired up to have our buddies over at FanDuel showing us how to get the job. Let's go to first things first here, guys. Florida getting a massive 90-81 win over Auburn. Again, this just kind of felt like at some point, that's why I took Florida plus 9.5, folks. At some point, Auburn was going to lose a conference game. This conference is an historic league, guys. It's not even a slight towards Auburn. It's just that it's more of a compliment to the teams like Florida, the Alabamas, the Tennessees, the other teams in the league. Auburn's put together a phenomenal season. We'll talk about it in just a minute, but I still think Auburn's the best team in the country, but they were not yesterday. I think what took everyone back is not that Auburn really won the game, but where it happened. It happened at Neville Arena, a place I still think is the hardest place to play in the sport. I mean, Auburn came out firing up 10 real fast. It looked like a typical Auburn game. They looked real loosey-goosey. They looked almost too loose in warm-ups. They almost looked too loose, in my opinion. Florida went on a big run in. Walter Clayton played. Elijah Martin did not play. Hopefully he'll be back for them this next week. But Florida went on a massive run in the half, got up 10. Again, they were up 48-38, 10.5. Auburn's defense cannot do anything. Florida out-physical Auburn in this game across the board, in my opinion. Florida shot 48% from the field, 39% from beyond the arc. Auburn, 42% from the field, 31% from beyond the arc. Rebounds, 40-40. But it felt like Florida really challenged them. Tyler Hawk, Alex Condon really answered the bell. And Bruce Pearl said it in postgame when I was watching it. He was like, I didn't do a good job telling my team how much Florida is going to want and need this game. Not only because of the Todd Golden connection. Todd Golden used to be an assistant at Auburn under Bruce Pearl. His best friend, Stephen Pearl, assistant coach at Auburn, Bruce Pearl's son. I just think Auburn came out with a little, hey, we had nothing to lose here, guys. Last week we got embarrassed in Knoxville when they were missing a couple of guys. I think that's kind of where it is. Total turnovers, 12 for Florida, 8 for Auburn from that perspective. I mean, largest lead was 21. They got it up in the first half. I think the key here, guys, in my opinion, and again, we'll go through some scoring leaders. We'll do that real quick. I want to get it. Janai Baroum, 18 points, 11 rebounds. Again, a walking double-double. It is what it is, guys. He's a walking double-double. Miles Kelly, I thought, was big for him at times, 22 points for Auburn there. Todd Pettiford, all right. The guy that has to step up, and I tweeted about it this morning. I'm pulling up the stat right now. The guy that has to step up, I think, consistently for Auburn to reach its ultimate goal. Denver Jones, reading it right here, against top 10 teams. They played 5 of them this year. He is 4 for 29 for 13% from the field and 0 from 11 from beyond that. That has to improve. Denver Jones has to get better against the better competition that Auburn plays for them ultimately to go win a national title. Again, Janai Baroum, the whole thing operates through Janai Baroum. But Denver Jones has got to be better against top 10 competition, against better competition. Maybe not even top 10. That's just a data point right there. And I think Auburn also too, they can't be emotional. Your older guys like Janai Baroum, Chad Baker-Mazara, just, I don't know, it looks like somebody takes their toys away and they go take their ball and go home somewhere else. Again, you're going to have a tournament where you're not playing well offensively and you have to grit through it. Again, this team is not the most talented team in the sport. I think that's Alabama, if you want to be honest. Highest upside. This isn't like a team walking like the 2014-15 Kentucky team where we got multiple NBA first rounders on this. I think Bruce Pearl would tell you the way they win basketball games is because they're a veteran squad. They've all played together a lot. And also, they play with relentless abandon. They're probably the most relentless defensive team, effort team in the country. And that's how they win. I felt like Florida beat them at their own game in their own building last night. That was without Elijah Martin, too. Alex Condon, 17 points, 10 boards, walking double-double as well at times. Denzel Aberdeen, I thought, was big. 10 rebounds or 10 points. He kept them kind of in that game in the first half. And Auburn got up 9-10, looking like, hey, it's Auburn doing Auburn things. Here comes that tsunami in Neville Arena. No. Denzel Aberdeen was there to answer the bell. Will Richard, 12 points. And then Walter Clayton, coming off injury, 19 points. Massive. Thomas Hawk, like I said, off the bench with 19 points. Even Urban Klazovar was fine with 9 points. Poor defensive effort for Auburn across the board. Poor defensive effort for the Auburn Tigers across the board here. Auburn just wanted it more, guys. Florida just wanted it more and had to have it. And Bruce Pearl even echoed that. But should Auburn stay at number one? I think that's the question right now. Should Auburn stay at number one? I think so. The bot works there. I'm not one that's going to drop it. I'm already going to tell you. I'm going to go put together my power rankings right after this. They're still going to be number one. So, spoiler alert, folks, Auburn's still going to be number one in Dave Shumate's power rankings heading into next week. So, spoiler alert, we'll post that graphic tomorrow. But still, it's one game. They go at Auburn in the big showdown. We're probably going to still get 1 and 2 for Alabama or Auburn. Duke's not going to be in the one spot. I think smart voters would still put Auburn 1, Bama 2. You may still have, you had Jimmy Dykes last night really petitioning for Alabama in that Arkansas game to get to the number one spot. I would put Auburn 1, Bama 2. It's going to be a 1-2 showdown, which is great for that rivalry, for the league, for the sport. That'll be so fun next weekend in Coleman Coliseum. But I think Auburn's going to be 1. I think Auburn should be 1 overall. Florida, geez. What do you say about the Gators? The big bounce back win. What's up for the Gators? Again, I don't think Florida's going to compete for the league title, really. I think that now they do have the tiebreaker over Auburn now, so it changes some things from that perspective. But what is next at Mississippi State? They got to get a lot back in. It's a quick turnaround. Tuesday. It's Tuesday. It'll be here before you know it. Super Bowl Sunday tonight. You'll wake up, go to practice. They'll have to be in Starkville tomorrow for a shoot, right? You got to flip that switch. Auburn was yesterday. That'll be Todd Golden's biggest challenge. Host South Carolina, post Oklahoma. They would love to go 3-0. 2-1 should be the very floor there, especially when you get South Carolina and Oklahoma at home. Auburn, we briefly talked about what's next for them. They head to Vanderbilt, to Memorial Coliseum, where Tennessee's gone down this year. Kentucky's gone down this year. Texas lost yesterday in a game they could have won. That's Tuesday night. Then they go to Coleman Coliseum. Like I mentioned, a 1-2 showdown. Saturday afternoon, College game day will be there. Then they host Arkansas. So you're thinking Auburn wants to at least go 2-1. They know they can win all 3 games. So that's where we stand from that perspective for both these teams heading in. Give Florida credit, man. They just got the job done, played a phenomenal brand of their basketball, and they just wanted it a little more. And that's the tough thing for Bruce Pearl's team. Get them up in, hey, guys, this is a historical league. We can't just roll the balls out. I don't think he thought they could roll the balls out and just beat Florida. But at times, they looked a little loosey-goosey when they were showing them on ESPN with the pregame warm-ups. It's kind of like, these guys look a little too loose. Janai Broome playing poker the night before. Again, that's not what they lost. It's just, I hate the term of saying they needed this, but I kind of believe, you never want to lose a game, but they kind of needed this. But you think Bruce Pearl, again, I don't think they were going 18-0 in league play, but you think just hypothetically he wanted to roll into the tournament and they hadn't lost a game in 3 months? There's no way. There's no way. He needs to take this, use it as a learning experience. Like, hey, guys, we're not the most talented team out there. We can't just go beat people off talent. We have to do what we pride this program being. We have to out-hustle, out-rebound, get loose balls, do what they're used to doing, what they work and practice every day. This program is built around that tenacity. It was back in the Tennessee day, UW-Milwaukee day for Bruce Pearl, too. They know this. They just got to get back, not even to the drawing board. Just, hey, look, guys, this is what happens when we don't play with good enough effort. We can go get our butts whipped at home. So, Bruce Pearl and the boys going to have to go rally the troops from that perspective. But Florida getting the 90-81 win over the Florida Gators. Where do we want to go to next? What are we thinking about going to next? Let's go to Fayetteville. Let's go to Fayetteville. Alabama, the Crimson Tide kind of holding on, holding on a little late here from that perspective. Going to getting the 85-81 win over John Calipari and the boys. Again, Bama was up 40-34 at half. It felt like a game where Bama was a little, I don't know, you never felt like Bama was really going to lose this game. But that last 5 minutes, I mean, Bama was controlling the game up 19 points. Let them come back. Big Z misses the front end of a 1-and-1 when Bama's up 3 late to kind of put the game away. Again, Alabama's shooting 54.8% from the field, 26.3% from beyond the arc, 43% for the Razorbacks, 35% from beyond the arc for the Razorbacks. Bama went awesome at the free throw line, 66%. Arkansas shot 85%, rebounding 35-32 edge to Bama. Turnovers 14-11. I mean, Bama had like 9 or 10 in the first half, so it got a little bit better in the second half. I think Sears had 5 or 7 himself. That's what's going to have to limit Bama. If Bama were to get beat early in the NCAA tournament, it would be off turnovers. I don't even have to tell you who they're playing. It would be off turnovers. I get it. The tempo of Nate Oates is always going to be in that 12 to 14 range. I think most games turnovers. They get it into single digits. Most teams, I don't think anybody's going to beat them if Bama limits their turnovers to single digits in games. But you can take 12 to 14. When you get into that 15 or above range is when you can start losing to some teams that you're better than. And they were flirting with that last night. That's why Arkansas went on a run late. Largely, like I said, Bama 18, Arkansas 2 early in the game. Bama dominated the points in the paint, though. 56-36, a 20-point differential, and that was the game. Really, for that show, I thought Clifford Amori was fine. Grant Nelson had 15 points, 5 of 7 from beyond the arc. Going to the box score here, Bama had 3 starters in double figures. Grant Nelson, 15 points. Clifford Amori had 9. Chris Youngblood with 15. Mark Sears with 11. I mean, since Chris Youngblood has came back into the lineup, guys, they've lost to Terrell Wrightsell for the season at the Players Era Festival. But Bama's lost 1 game. That was to Ole Miss. It's their 1 loss. They're 9-1 in league play. That was their 1 loss. Chris Youngblood has been that key X factor. Nate Oates he told us that in the preseason. He told us that. SEC Media Days that Chris Youngblood's going to be a guy coming over from South Florida, Tuscaloosa native, that is kind of going to be the difference. Sears with 11 points. Mo Diabate, 14 points. Again, Mo Diabate's like Draymond Green. He's Alabama's version of Draymond Green. Doesn't really fit the system, but just does hard hat, blue-collar points. They follow Alabama basketball at all, you would know that. They calculate points. That doesn't show up in a box score. Mohamed Diabate almost owns that hard hat that Alabama gives out for the most hustle, rebounds, steals, defensive plays that anybody can get in the sport. Mark Sears, I think, actually won it last night for them. But LeBaron Filine, I think they're going to start needing him to step up a little bit more. Again, is it the ankle? Is it a freshman wall? I don't like when people say freshman wall because define that. What does a freshman wall mean? I mean, again, more tape you put out there, people can exploit weaknesses. And I think that's where we're at right now. Again, he's not a great shooter. If you see, he gets a lot of wide open shots. And if you're going to be open that consistently, especially in this league, more times than not, it's probably because they're leaving you open on purpose. Again, I thought Aiden Sherrill was even better. 7 points, 3 rebounds. Speaking of someone who gets left open at times, it's him, but he didn't even attempt a 3 last night. Aiden Holloway, 3 for 7, 2 for 4 from out of the arc for 8 points. Again, solid game for Alabama. Just that last 5-6 minutes, they had a chance to really put the throat on Arkansas. If they would have won like one more 5-6-0 run, they'd have went up 20, and probably people would have started leading Bud Walton Arena early. For Arkansas, Big Z, 27 points, starting to fill into his own. 22 points for Nadua Thero. Again, the former Kentucky players getting it done. Nelly Davis looking more and more comfortable, looking like the FAU Nelly Davis we've been accustomed to seeing. Was Boogie Flan being injured a good thing for this team? I think there's an argument being made there. It is. I think there's an argument being made that Boogie Flan getting injured may have really elevated this team. Now, they still got work to do. Because, I mean, we're sitting here talking about a team that's 14-9, 3-7. Now, they just came off 2 big wins on the road at Kentucky and at Texas. But still, some work to do. Billy Richmond, 9 points off the bench. But I think, again, Alabama's better than Arkansas. They're deeper than Arkansas. Darion Reed didn't play tonight. I thought this game was never in doubt, really. It's just until the end, even when it got cut to 3 and Bama fouled Big Z, and I never felt like it was over. It just, I don't know. Bama's the better team. Turnovers are key for NATO's team, and I'm sure he preaches that every day in practice. But what is next for the Crimson Tide heading up? Again, I think they flew to Austin last night. I think they're staying there because they play Tuesday, so they didn't go home. I mean, Bama's in Austin. I think they're renting out a room to watch the Super Bowl, and they play Texas at 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night at the Moody Center. Hashtag bless the mood, as our guy Matthew McConaughey says. But that'll be an interesting game. I mean, they need to win that. They don't need to be looking ahead to Auburn, which will be that Saturday. College game day will be there for the second year in a row. It was the Tennessee game last year at Cohen Coliseum. Then they go at Missouri. I mean, Alabama's schedule, they're the toughest remaining schedule in the league. I mean, the country. Listen to this. At Texas, Auburn at home, at Missouri, Kentucky at home, Mississippi State at home, at Tennessee, Florida at home, and at Auburn. No one finishes harder than that. That's why I still think Auburn has the advantage to win the league because the schedule's a little bit easier in the back. Again, Alabama has the toughest schedule remaining in college basketball. I mean, next 3, you want to go 3-0. 2-1, you be jacked, though, especially 2 of the 3 being on the road. No easy road game, but the one everybody has circled, Auburn next Saturday, February 15th, but the one to really keep an eye on, underrated game, that next Wednesday night in Como, at Missouri Arena, at Missouri against top 15 Missouri, who I know just dropped one day A&M, but still, Missouri is really good at home. What is coming up next for the Arkansas Razorbacks? They got a date with the LSU Tigers, one of their few, I wouldn't say just bad losses. I mean, Ole Miss knows they'd have a miraculous comeback last night, but they can't lose this game at home to LSU, at A&M, at Auburn. They got to steal some big win here. They can't lose to LSU. Maybe Missouri at home, got to beat Texas again at home, can't be losing at South Carolina. I mean, these games against like Texas and Vandy, you got to win those head-to-head battles. So those are the teams in the league you're fighting with the bubble on. But again, it starts Wednesday night. I mean, Cal's team can't be looking past anybody. They have to beat LSU at home. And again, Alabama, Nate Oates' team cannot look past Rodney Terry, Trey Johnson, Arthur Kaluma, and the boys, because they do have a score. And we've seen Bama let scores go off at times. We've seen that. We've seen that multiple times. About 3 or 4 of them. Dylan Harper at Rutgers. South Dakota State, who was it that went off? Malik Diaz, not really a scorer, but he went off. I mean, who am I missing here for Bama? North Dakota. They had a guy go off on him. Ashworth at Creighton went off on. Bama will let you score, kind of get into a rhythm and go off on you at times. But no, they get a big win, hold down the fort. Is what it is. Was it pretty at the end? No. But again, you'll take any road win, add it to another quad 1 dub for Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide. Where do we want to go now, guys? Oh, what's our next big one? Let's go. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go Texas A&M. Let's go Texas A&M, Missouri. Texas A&M get the 67-64 win over the Missouri Tigers. I mean, what a win for Buzz Williams. Dude, it is never pretty with this team, but they're almost the Kansas State version of football at times. I mean, I hate bringing up the football analogy in a basketball show, but it's a little bit like there's play possession. They turn the ball over at times. But they do the dirty work. They do the things. It's not always pretty to watch, but you're sitting there slowly. They got one of the more impressive resumes. Again, yesterday, massive win for Buzz Williams. And I love the play at the end they drew up. And I don't think our guy, Andy Garcia is getting enough credit for that. Again, that pass was on Wade Taylor hit the 3. It was supposed to go to him if you go watch Buzz Williams' video. And I rewatched the game this morning. They were supposed to go to him, but they stayed on Anderson Garcia. He dishes it off to Wade Taylor's like, hey, I just wanted to get the shot up because I know we are a great offensive rebounding team. I didn't want my shot to go off the back rim like it had been. Anderson Garcia dishes it off because he's on the double. They give Wade Taylor just a little bit of room. Nails it. 67-64. Big-time win for Buzz Williams and the boys. A&M shooting 45.3% from the field, 26.3% from beyond the arc, 39% from the field from Missouri, 23.8% from beyond the arc for Missouri from that perspective, and A&M 45%, 26% from beyond the arc. 34-32 rebounding advantage for the Aggies here. Turnovers 13 for the Ags, 14 for Missouri. Largest lead was 12 for A&M, 5 for Missouri here. Box score. Let's celebrate the victors first. 3 guys in double figures, 20 for Pharrell Payne, 14 for Zurich Phelps, 15 for Wade Taylor. Again, like I said, my guy Anderson Garcia, only 1 point, 2 boards, 3 assists. Wasn't great in the box score, but that big play late, man. Big play late was massive for them. Again, this is right up the alley of a Texas A&M game. Usually it's in the lower 70s. I mean, and this is even lower, 67-64. Missouri getting 12 for Mark Mitchell, 16 from Tamar Bates, 8 from Tony Perkins. Jacob Cruz, he was kind of our big shot guy yesterday. I mean, Caleb Grill with only 4 points, 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. Great job, great defensive plan from Buzz Williams and his staff. But Jacob Cruz, again, that's why I'm still not discouraged from Missouri. Even with their week, they went 0-2 against Tennessee and A&M. I'm sitting there like, I don't want to play Missouri in the NCAA tournament. Missouri's certainly a second weekend team. And then when you factor at home, that's why I said that game, Alabama couldn't get Missouri to worst time. They get Auburn at home next Saturday. The next week, the next midweek, they got to go to Missouri. Man. Again, I'm really not down on Missouri. I mean, obviously, yeah, you got to get a little bit better. 3-point shooting was off, but again, I think it was a little bit. Give A&M a little bit credit there. Turnovers weren't terrible. It just wasn't a great offensive game. Both teams defended well. Just A&M forces you to play to their style. It's like Tennessee a little bit. They drag you in the mud. Let's fight it out in this mud. Let's see who comes out. Sometimes you do come out, but you most of the times are going to play their game, especially if you're playing on their home court. Now, again, I know this game was at Missouri, but still, I don't think there's really anything to be too disappointed out in this game. I mean, just one of those nights you're not going to have it. But again, I think A&M's one of the more underrated teams. I mean, you look at their wins, you look at everything they do. Is it pretty? Does it pass the eye test all the time? No, but they know they're going to get a bunch of shots off. That's why they're number one offensive rebounding team in the country. They just get it done. They know their style. They know their culture. They have a lot of guys that have played in the Buzz Williams system. But what's coming up for the Ags this upcoming week? Georgia at home on Tuesday, Arkansas at home on Saturday, and at Mississippi State. I mean, A&M would love to go 3-0. 2-1 should be the goal because you get 2 at home. Starting off Tuesday with Georgia at home. For Missouri, what is the next 3 for the Tigers looking like? Missouri plays Oklahoma at home. Need that one. At Georgia on Saturday, and then a big one against Alabama, who could be number 1, number 2 when they come to town, and they get Alabama in a perfect spot after the Auburn game next Saturday. Bama comes to town that next midweek. So we'll see from that perspective. Again, not down on Missouri at all. I'm really not. I did not hate that tape. I did not hate this week. I know they went 0-2. You never want to go 0-2. But context matters, guys. This league's a beast. And I think you played 2 second weekend teams, one on the road in Tennessee, and you faced an A&M team that drug you into the mud, wanted you to play their style of play, and just got the job done from that perspective. Let's go to our next game here, folks. Where do we want to go? Let's go Texas Vandy. Let's go Texas Vandy, guys. Vandy getting the 86-78 win over Texas. I thought this was an interesting one. I really did. I thought this was an interesting one because overall, I mean, Vandy at Memorial and Auburn goes there this week. Again, it's not always pretty either. I thought watching this game live, it was like, man, Texas starting to hit their stride a little bit, but man, Vanderbilt went on that late push and just, again, Jalen Carey, just unbelievable. Vandy shoots 42% from the field, 33% from beyond the arc. Texas, 41.7% from the field, 36% from beyond the arc. Free throws, 70%. Vanderbilt, 77% for the free throw. Rebounding, 44-40 Vanderbilt. Again, that's kind of wild because Vanderbilt, again, not a great rebounding team. This was a Vanderbilt team that got out-rebounded by a Jackson State team that I still don't know has won a game. What do we got? Largest lead here, 10. Yeah, I mean, Texas was feeling themselves. Trey Johnson was playing well. He finished with 15. Overall, I mean, fouls, 21-20, turnovers, 9-7, both kept it in single digits. And what are the points in the paint? 28-38. Vanderbilt dominated the paint. That's not really their MO. So that's a little concerning there if you're Texas. For Vanderbilt, Devin McLaughlin, 6 points. Tyler Nichols, 17. Jason Edwards, 17. A.J. Hogard, 14. Jalen Carey, 18 off the bench, like I mentioned. That was massive. For Texas, you had all 5 starters in double figures. I mean, again, I wasn't even that disappointed in Texas. I mean, again, this game and the Missouri-Texas A&M game is like, yeah, nobody wants to lose, but you look at these games and it's like, that just shows you how those 2 games are just the definition of how big of a beast and monster this league is, and especially on the road, as you guys know. But Kaluma went for 12, Caden Shedrick with 12. I mean, they both got a combined 13 rebounds. Trey Johnson, 15, 5 of 14 from the field, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc for 50%. From beyond the arc, 11 points for Jordan Pope, 11 points for Julian Larry, Devon Pryor with 9, Jason Kent with 8. I mean, what's there to really say? I mean, again, not real disappointed here. I'm really not real disappointed here in the Texas Longhorns performance. It's hard to go get wins on the road, but you need them. Like at some point, guys, we got to start collecting wins here, and you'll see that as we keep talking about it on some of these reviews. Like at some point, it's like, I don't really know if they played terrible or anything to really get disappointed in, but Vandy improves to 17-6. What is next for the Commodores? They host Auburn at home on Tuesday night, head to Tennessee on the weekend, and then they play at Kentucky, where Kentucky will be trying to get revenge for their loss. So, man, it's a 3-game stretch right there. Auburn, at Tennessee, at Kentucky. Ooh. I know they're on the bubble. And Mark Byington, even if they don't make the NCAA tournament, I don't want to bring that up because I think they're in a good spot. If you could just get one of those 3, would be unbelievable. One of those three would be unbelievable. What is next for the Texas Longhorns coming up on the slate? The Horns host Alabama on Tuesday night, host Kentucky on Saturday, and at South Carolina the next midweek. So, I mean, Texas, you get Bama and Kentucky at home. You probably want one of them. And if you're where you want to be as a program, and if I'm looking at long-term with Rodney Terry, again, year 3, inherited it kind of middle of the year, that number 2 ranked team when the whole Chris Beard situation happened. Underachieved a little bit last year. Sure, like underachieving a little bit. If you're a team that's going to go challenge in the SEC, look, you should go get one of these home games against Alabama and Kentucky. I don't think it's going to be Alabama, but I think Kentucky certainly is very winnable at home. And if Rodney Terry's the guy, I think he'll lead you into the future, into this conference, which is, we know they're investing in this conference. It's arguably one of the best leagues historically. You're going to have to keep up with the Joneses. That's a game you need to go win. Again, it's wild to say against a blue blood like Kentucky, but come on, two games at home. You got to get one, and certainly in South Carolina, you'd like to get one as well. Again, I keep saying it. I think Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Vandy, Georgia are the teams you got to really keep an eye on to determine those 5 teams, how many are going to get bids into the NCAA tournament. I think that is something you need to keep an eye on from that perspective. Tennessee, Oklahoma, we'll briefly go through this one because I think this was just a total domination. One of the few dominations we had today. Tennessee getting the 70-52 win over the Oklahoma Sooners at the Lloyd Noble Center. I mean, Tennessee just got after them from the get-go. At one point, I think Zakai Ziegler had 21 points, and the rest of the team for Oklahoma had 21 points. It was something wild like that. I mean, it's just something absolutely wild like that. Again, from the field goal percentage here, you had Tennessee shooting 60.4% from the field, 42.9% from beyond the arc. Oklahoma shooting 32.1% from the field, 26.1% from beyond the arc. I mean, Tennessee just locked it down. I took the under in this game and it cashed. I mean, I think it was over under 130. We didn't win it by much, but still, I felt pretty good. 52 points. That's just Tennessee like Oklahoma. They're going to drag you into the mud. Let's play your game. Let's see if we can come out and play. Just like Auburn beat them. Auburn played their style, but played a fist fight and beat them at home. I mean, a couple of weeks ago. We saw that. I mean, Tennessee had a 28-point lead at one point. Oklahoma looks tired. They look like they have some freshmen that are just kind of hitting a wall from that perspective. And I hate when people just say a wall. Explain it. I'm going to explain it. He's got guys, Jeremiah Fears, LeBaron Filan, guys like that. As freshmen keep going in, get more film. More weaknesses are exposed, guys. Teams want to play a little bit more physical with Jeremiah Fears. He's a little banged up right now. They're going to leave LeBaron Filan wide open until he proves he can hit it. It's a freshman wall to me. He's like, yeah, nicks and bruises. Again, and this is the time of year, guys. We're getting the middle of February. Everyone's banged up. Everyone is banged up. Everyone has nicks and bruises. They don't even show up on the injury report. They don't. And they're not going to talk about it. Again, you may have a little plantar fasciitis, a little ankle tweak. That's on every roster now, guys. But for Tennessee, Zakai Ziegler going for 17, Chaz Lanier 21. Tennessee ceiling offensively, I hate to say it, that's only 70 points. But Cade Phillips with 4 off the bench, Jordan Gainey with 5 off the bench, Darling Stone Dubar with 5 off the bench. Tennessee really just got out big and just ran away. They're up 20 at half. 12 points from Jalen Moore. I remember Jeremiah Fears 8, 3 for 8 from beyond the arc, 0 for 3 from 3-point. 3 for 8 from the field, over 3 from beyond the arc. I mean, think about Jeremiah Fears there, a true freshman that reclassified. Went at Auburn this week, played Tennessee. 2 of the best defensive teams in this league. I can only imagine what the kid, some of the looks he got. I mean, go back and watch it here, man. They're playing him physical against Auburn, and even Tennessee was. So, again, he'll learn from this. He'll continue to get better. Porter Moser will put him in positions to succeed, but Tennessee getting a dominant 70-52 win over Oklahoma, probably the most dominant performance, not probably, the most dominant performance of the weekend. But what's next for Tennessee? Big one at Kentucky. It's one of the bigger midweek matchups. That's the early one on Tuesday. Host Vanderbilt at A&M. So Tennessee's got a big 3-game stretch coming up where they already sit 20-4. They're kind of 5th in the SEC right now, but got to start with getting a win at Rupp, which is very possible. Those next 3, 2-1. That should be the goal. I know 2 of them are on the road at Kentucky, at A&M, but you get the Vanderbilt game at home where that's a revenge factor. I like Tennessee to get to 2-1 in there. I like Tennessee to get to 2-1 from that perspective. What is up next for the Oklahoma Sooners? Pull up the schedule. The Sooners at Missouri on midweek on Wednesday night. LSU, and then at Florida. Again, you'd like to go 2-1. Those two road games at Missouri, at Florida would be hilarious. I mean, you'd be jacked, but realistically, you can't lose to LSU at home. That's where we're at. You can't lose to LSU at home. It's a must, because at Missouri, at Florida's not going to hurt you. LSU is a must win. And then after Florida, I know we only looked 3 games, but the fourth, Mississippi State at home would be another one you would like to get. But again, guys, Tennessee getting the 70-52 win over Oklahoma. Very dominant performance there. Chad J. Hinsey, am I saying it right there, Chad? Roll mother effing tide. He says, yeah, big win for Bama. Wasn't a great last 5 minutes, but you know what? You'll take any road dub, especially when Bud Walton Arena was kind of at its peak this year, coming off 2 big wins. So you'll take any road win. Bama's off to Austin to play Texas. Rob Scar, Florida was the more physical team, and Auburn didn't have a response to their guard play. Their bigs were something Auburn hadn't seen up to this point. It showed, you're right. Florida kind of beat them at their own game and kind of didn't flinch. Again, I thought Auburn was just a little too comfortable in pregame warmups. And like Bruce said, he nailed it. He's like, I think I didn't hammer home to my team how much this game meant to Florida and what it could be to springboard their season. Because, again, everybody was kind of sleeping on Florida. I took Florida plus 9.5. I think at some point Auburn wasn't going to play great. I mean, they had it a couple times this year against Tennessee. Just Tennessee couldn't make them pay for it. Just Florida had some bodies, if they were playing well, could match it. Again, that was without Elijah Martin, too, and Walter Clayton just coming off being injured. So, very impressive performance. Again, they took it to them, out-hustled them. They did things to Auburn that Auburn usually does to other teams. So, you're right. Very impressed with Florida across the board from that one. Where do we want to go to next? Let's go to a wild finish here. Ole Miss, the Rebs, the Ole Miss Rebels, folks, getting a massive win in Baton Rouge. Didn't think I'd be saying that. But, man, if you would have saw how that game ended, Ole Miss getting the 72-70 buzzer beater win over the LSU Tigers. I mean, they were up you-know-what creek without a paddle for a long time, and they were down 11 with about, 5 minutes left. Went on a massive run late to get a win. That would have hurt you in league standings and probably where you would have been seated going into Nashville for the NCAA tournament, SEC tournament. Would it knock you out of the NCAA tournament? No, I think Ole Miss is going to make the NCAA tournament. Not even going to have to think about it. But, man, that could have been ugly from an SEC standing standpoint. And LSU, again, it's just they do what bad teams do at times. And I don't think LSU's like some awful team, but in this league, they're considered bad. You find ways to lose. That's what LSU does. But Ole Miss shot 37% from the field, 26% from beyond the arc. What a great game for the Rebs. 44% from the field for LSU, 33% from beyond the arc. Rebounds 40-39 advantage LSU. I mean, LSU won this in most categories. Only 10 turnovers for LSU tonight. They only forced 5, though. They still lost the turnover battle. They lose it every night. Points in the paint, they beat Ole Miss 30-28. Now, Ole Miss is the second smallest lineup in the league, so let that be as you have. Biggest lead for LSU was 11. And that was late, man. I mean, Cam Carter did his thing, 16 points. It looked like LSU and Matt McMahon were going to get one of their bigger wins of the Matt McMahon era, and nope. Some late turnovers, missed free throws. I mean, I think LSU in the last 3.5 minutes, someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I think they got up one shot attempt in the last 3.5 minutes of the game. That is how you lose games. For Ole Miss, Sean Padula, 17 points, Matthew Morrell, 10, Dre Davis with 22, Jamin Brakefield off the bench with 11. I thought Matthew Morrell was overall, double-double, 10 points, 9 rebounds. Very under-the-radar performance for Matthew Morrell from that perspective. LSU, they got 15 from Damian Collins. Cam Carter was 16. Jordan Sears with 13. Corey Chess, just a rebounding machine, dude. I mean, him against Alabama a couple of weeks ago was unbelievable. Had a ton of boards, too. He had 12 last night against Ole Miss. But, man, that's a tough pill to swallow for LSU. They dropped to 12-11, 1-9. Ole Miss improves to 18-6, 7-4. Again, it's nothing. You're not going to go flush this tape, but Chris Beard can be like, hey, guys, we learned the best lesson. We have to show up every night no matter who we are playing. But, hey, we can learn this lesson the hard way because it's not going to affect us in the loss column. It just added another win. It got us to our 18th overall win, 7th overall league win. But, guys, we can't play like that again and expect to beat anyone else in this league. We can't. He's got to hammer that home. They got lucky. LSU lost that game more than Ole Miss won it. Their next 3 for the Rebs at South Carolina. Again, this isn't a roll the ball game out. This is probably the worst team in the league. 16A, 16B probably if we're talking LSU, South Carolina. Host Mississippi State on Saturday. That'll be another big one. Try to get revenge from that overtime loss at the Hump a couple weeks ago. Then at Vandy. Would love to go 3-0 if I'm Chris Beard. Would love to go 3-0 because you're 3 of the last 4 really hard. At Auburn, Tennessee at home, at Florida. from that perspective. But the next three at South Carolina, Mississippi State at home, and at Vanderbilt for the Rebels and Chris Beard. What's next for LSU? They take a trip to Fayetteville, where they're going to be Arkansas Razorback team, knowing they have to win this game, trying to get revenge from a loss at the PMAC early in the year. At Arkansas, at Oklahoma, South Carolina at home. I think LSU's got to go 3-0 here to even get back in the conversation. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, 2-1, not over. Can't go 1-2. You got to at least be 2-1. Ideal, you'd like to get on a little run, and we're talking about LSU the next week and a half. I mean, it's possible. At Arkansas, at Oklahoma, South Carolina. I don't think it happens, but it is possible across the line. But, guys, as you can tell, we're broadcasting here live from St. Simon's Island in Georgia. Again, I was in a wedding last night. As you guys know, we're usually broadcasting live after the reactions, especially on Saturday. So that's why I'm broadcasting live Sunday morning for you here. We're 35 minutes in, and there's 500 of you listening. I appreciate it. Guys, before we just keep moving on, go like, subscribe, hit that notification bell on the SEC Unfiltered YouTube channel, guys. Again, I'm going to link it in here for you guys just so it's easier for you. Again, guys, there's no better SEC entity in the game for football, basketball, baseball. Open and pitch next weekend, folks. Open and pitch next weekend. I mean, what else do you want me to say? I mean, we're covering all three of the big three, folks. I'm putting in our YouTube channel right there, folks. Go like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. The road to 20,000 subscribers for you guys. We're bringing it all. We're bringing you into the March Madness season, the best SEC basketball season of all time. Could be the best baseball season of all time as well, guys. But again, guys, this reaction from Saturday night's action, last night's action, is brought to you by our title sponsor, FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Guys, again, FanDuel, new proud sponsor. They're going to be helping us. They're providing the SEC Unfiltered tours. You saw myself and Chris Phillips go to Tuscaloosa last weekend. But, guys, we got a lot. We just got a couple more things to cover. Did I hit? Let's see. Make sure we get in here. We got one more right here. We got two more, actually. Yeah, we got two more. So, Mississippi State, this is one. It was down the wire. It was not pretty. It was not pretty. But, again, you're going to take a road win. I know it's against a reeling Georgia team, but Mississippi State gets the 76-75 win again. Cyrus Demery had a chance late, dribbled it off his foot. There, because this is the ending of this game felt forever. Was anybody else watching it in the chat tell me, did they feel like it was the longest timeout ever at the end of the game? But Mississippi State shoots 55% from the field, 30% from beyond the arc. Georgia, 46% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc. 32-31 rebounding advantage for Georgia. 11 turnovers to 9. Georgia had 11 turnovers. Mississippi State had 9 points in the paint. 46-28. Mississippi State dominated the paint. I mean, they really did. Yeah, I thought Cam Matthews played well. I thought Murphy played well. I thought Nwoko played well. State did really well in the paint yesterday. Overall, largest lead, 9 points. 4-point lead for Georgia was the largest for them. Going to the box score here. Mississippi State improved to 17-6, 5-5 in league play. Georgia 16-8, 4-7 in league play. For Mississippi State, you had, like I said, Michael Wokwo going for 11 points, 3 boards overall. Hubbard 16 points, 3 boards for him. Off the bench, Keyshawn Murphy, like I mentioned, 8 boards, 14 points. That was probably one of the more key contributors of the night. Riley Kugel going for 10 points. Again, Kugel's always better, the Florida transfer, when he's attacking the rim, kicking it out. He gets more comfortable in his game. I think it improves his shooting from beyond the arc as well. But big win for Chris Jans and the boys. I mean, they needed that. I mean, they had a tough couple games going back to the Missouri game at home last Saturday. They needed this. They needed this road win. They needed it really bad. No one probably needed this win more than them last night. They needed to get off the mat. And nobody needed to win more than Georgia, too. I mean, Georgia drops to 16-8, 4-7 in league play. Got 10 points from R.J. Godfrey, 16 from Asen Newell. Blue came with 9. Silas Demery had the big turnover late, but he still had 23 points. It was big for him. Dakota LaFew, 12. It's been a rough few weeks for both these teams. I mean, our last week or two, they both needed it. State escaped 76-75. What is next for Mississippi State? Again, just trying to improve that. See, they host Florida in a big game for both Florida and Mississippi State. Florida coming off the big win against Auburn. Can they flush that? Mississippi State, they both get emotional wins on the road. Who comes back more focused? At Ole Miss, 1-1 this week would be awesome. And they go, their next 3, Florida at home, at Ole Miss, A&M. 2-1. 2-1's the goal from that perspective. For Georgia, got to start getting some wins here. You got to start getting some wins here if you're Mike White and the boys at some point. I mean, you have to at some point. You go at A&M this week, Missouri at home, and at Auburn. Whew. You got to get one. You can't go 0-3. I mean, you really can't. Mississippi State cannot afford to go 0-3 there. I mean, sorry, Georgia cannot afford to go 0-3 because like I keep saying, Georgia, Vandy, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas. Those 5 teams. I think there's 9 teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament for sure. And inevitably, 2-3 of those 5 are going to get in, I think. And then I think you got LSU and South Carolina, the only 2 that we were pretty confident in that are not going to make the NCAA tournament. So we're looking at 5 teams that are going to adjust and have a big say on how many teams hear their name announced on Selection Sunday from the Southeastern Conference. Georgia's one of those teams. I mean, at some point, you got to start getting some what's the last big win Georgia had, man? I'm looking at the schedule. Kentucky. I mean, it was Kentucky. Back on, what was the date? What was the date of this game? January 7th. A long time ago, folks. I mean, Georgia is waiting for that when they have to go 1-2 in these next 2. Again, at Texas A&M, Missouri at home, and at Auburn. But as I mentioned, you get Georgia or Mississippi State getting the 76-75 win over the Georgia Bulldogs. Last game to briefly talk about. This game was kind of the thing I liked about this one for Kentucky, defense. They played really good defense again. That had been a massive issue for Kentucky heading down the stretch. I mean, in any game. And again, I don't think it's really going to improve. I think they are. I think they kind of are who they are from that perspective right now. I mean, I don't think it's going to really matter, but they get the 80-57 win over a reeling South Carolina team who you can make a case them or LSU, and that game's up in a week, or the 15th and 16th best teams. But Kentucky gets the 80-57 win over South Carolina. The Cats shoot 48% from the field, 34% from beyond the arc. South Carolina, 32% from the field, 18% from beyond the arc, 41 to beyond the arc, 41 to 35 rebound advantage for the Cats. Both teams only had 9 turnovers. Wasn't too terrible. Largest lead got up to 26. I just thought Kentucky totally kind of just shut them down. Again, even Colin Murray Bowles, everything he had to work for. 14 points, 5 of 13 from the field. Kentucky getting a much-needed win here. I mean, yeah, you had to go get it. Give Kentucky their flowers first. You had 17 from Otego Owe. Not shocking there. Brandon Garrison, 15 off the bench, something you'd like to see. Kobe Brea, 10 off the bench. Amari Williams, 10. Yeah, I mean, Lamont Butler played last night. That was big. You get one of your better defending guards. Again, it's tough to say. Are they that much better of a defensive? 2 things can be true at once. They're a much better defensive team with Lamont Butler because he's one of the best defending guards in the sport. But it was just like, hey, South Carolina didn't have a lot of great guards outside of Wright and them. I mean, they don't. So, I mean, so it's like, was this really a real test? Had they improved? I mean, outside of Jamari Thomas, Jacoby Wright, there's no one that really is going to test them. So I think it's a little bit of both. I think they're obviously much better with Butler, but also let's go see if we can test this theory out a little bit more from that perspective. Let's go see if we can get challenged a little bit more. Again, I think it has to more so to do with South Carolina's inability to score the basketball outside of Colin Murray Bowles than it does Kentucky's defense improve. But you still like to see it. And I thought it's the first time they were real locked in defensively across the board. What's next for the Kentucky Wildcats? Tennessee at home, big one at Texas, and then going to get some revenge potentially next midweek against Vanderbilt. That's the next 3. Then they got 2 Tuscaloosa. But Kentucky for that, I mean, you want to go 3-0. You want to go 3-0. 2-1 is a must. I mean, you get 2 out of your next 3 at home. You need to get that one. For South Carolina, just trying to not go winless. That's all you're trying to do. Again, they're now 10 and what are they? 10-13, 0 in league play. Next 3, Ole Miss at home, at Florida, at LSU. At LSU is your next one. Again, I think Lamont Paris is a good basketball coach. Go look what he did at UT Chattanooga with the Mogs. They're fine long term. It's just kind of been a roller coaster of the first 3 years for them. Not a great first year. Finished 5th in the SEC, competed for the league last year, made the NCAA tournament. And then this year, it's just kind of been about similar to the first year, but worse. I don't know. I wouldn't say worse. G.G. Jackson was really the only highlight. Again, you don't watch LSU and South Carolina and be like, man, what horrible basketball teams. They're just a big gap between everybody else because the league is so good, folks. I mean, that's all you can really say. I mean, the league is so good across the board that I don't really know what else from an overall standpoint. I mean, that you can really say. It's like I don't feel like I'm watching a bad basketball team, but there are at times where I do feel like I'm not there's just a massive gap between LSU and South Carolina. And I threw Arkansas in that group for a while. But like I mentioned, guys, I keep saying there's 9 teams that are in the NCAA tournament. Georgia, Vandy, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas are fighting for some spots. Like I said, LSU, South Carolina, just in their own different league. But I'll tell you who's not. We got a big game tonight, guys. Super Bowl 59, 1 game, 2 teams, endless possibilities. There's no better way to make every play more exciting than with our proud new title sponsor at SEC Unfiltered, FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first down, who will take home the MVP trophy, or the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to place your bets and feel the thrill of every moment. With live betting all game long, you can jump into the action, adjust your bets, and ride the wave of excitement from the kickoff to the final whistle. Plus, to make the Super Bowl even sweeter, new customers can score $200 when you make your first bet. Just place a $5 bet. If you win, you get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/SECU to bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online, real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelpline.ma.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE/NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Guys, I appreciate you joining us. We're not out of here just yet. Let's pull up the SEC standings for you before we get out of here. Again, guys, we're literally right at the midway point here from that perspective. Pull up the league standings as you can see it in your picture there. Let me pull it up so where I can see it a little bit bigger for myself here, folks. But here we go. Auburn and Alabama, after Auburn's loss today, are both tied at 9-1. We got 9-1 tied at the top. I do think it's these two teams. Again, Florida, I know Florida beat Auburn, but they're still 2 games back. That Florida at Alabama down the stretch could have that win yesterday for Florida is massive. They just can't follow it up with a clunker down the stretch. But Auburn, Alabama, I do think the winner of the SEC regular season will come out of one of those 2 teams. They're tied for first right now. Florida and Texas A&M knotted up at 7-3 apiece, tied for second place. Tennessee is tied with Ole Miss at 7-4. Missouri sits alone at 6-4. Mississippi State at 5-5. Vanderbilt at 5-5. Kentucky tied at 5. So we got 3 teams: Mississippi State, Vandy, Kentucky, all tied at 5-5. Georgia tied with Texas at 4-7. Oklahoma 3-7, along with Arkansas. And like I mentioned, 15-16, you got LSU with 1 win over Arkansas. That's why they're not in last place right now. But these 2 teams will duke it out in about a week and a half. But LSU at 1-9, and then as mentioned, South Carolina currently defeated at 0-10 right now. So like I mentioned, I think you got Auburn, Alabama, Florida, A&M, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Missouri, Mississippi State, and I think Kentucky are all NCAA tournament teams. As I mentioned, I think Vanderbilt, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas will decide, does the SEC get anywhere from 11 to 13? I think they're going to get 11. I think it's realistically more than that 11 and 12 range, because these games between Georgia, Vandy, Oklahoma, Texas, throw in Arkansas, those games are starting to become play-in games, and these teams start playing each other. Again, we're going to be talking about Auburn, Alabama playing for the league. They still got 2 more matchups. Next Saturday, last game of the regular season, which could be wild down at Neville, by the way. But some of these really exciting matchups are going to be between those 5 teams, because I think there's going to be some play-in games. I think at least 2 are going to make it out of those 5. The difference will it be 3 or 4? I don't think all 5, because again, they got to play each other. People got to start mounting losses. In the SEC, guys, they're not getting 14 and 14 out of 16. Come on, it's a phenomenal, historic year, challenging the 2010-2011 Big East year with Kimball Walker and UConn, as I always say. But it's going to determine that. But again, I think the league, as I've been mentioning for weeks, Florida fans, maybe even in my comments again, because I said it 2 weeks ago that Florida was going to be out of this race, and then they followed that up with a loss to Tennessee. But I do think this is an Auburn-Alabama race right now, and that's because Florida is going to look back and, hey, we should have lost Missouri at home, and how did we lose to Tennessee without Zakai Ziegler and Igor Milicic last Saturday? Not just lose, was a no-show. So that's one, but Florida, get excited. You're fired up. But again, they can't go follow this up with a clunker at Mississippi State. If they want to stay in the SEC title race and then winning Auburn and having that tiebreaker, that's the only time they play at Auburn. And remember, folks, I said I didn't think Florida would win the SEC regular season because they had to go at Auburn and at Alabama. Well, they've shown, and we've done this, they can go win those games. And again, I think they have a better shot of going to the Final Four and winning it all than they do having to win the SEC regular season. I mean, we've heard Jay Billis, the best, I think one of the best college basketball announcers out there, or college basketball analysts out there. He mentioned it's going to be harder to win the SEC tournament this year, folks, than it is to win the national title. And he's not wrong from that perspective. But, yep, that's what we got from the SEC standings, guys, heading in to this upcoming week's action after last night's action. But, guys, I am Dave Shumate, your lead college basketball analyst here at the SEC Unfiltered channel. I appreciate you joining us on this beautiful Sunday morning. I'm going to get out, enjoy Super Bowl Sunday from St. Simon's with my family and everything. I hope you do the same. Guys, we got a phenomenal slate down the stretch. We got a big one on Saturday. It's rivalry day. I mean, we got Bama Auburn. They have a big one. Ole Miss Mississippi State have a big one in Oxford as well. That one won't be talked about enough. But, guys, I hope you enjoyed this reaction. Guys, remember, this reaction to yesterday's SEC basketball reaction, or SEC basketball action, is brought to you by our new title sponsor, FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today. Get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet, guys. But for Dave Shumate, I hope you have a phenomenal Super Bowl Sunday and a great rest of your week. I will see you on Tuesday for all of Tuesday night's action. Guys, I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your weekend.